right, hey there traders, Sam here. Well, this is the start of a video series based on a lot of requests we've received from customers, prospective customers, those that might be trialing these particular indicators. So this will be focused on our footprint indicator and the footprint auto trader, the order flow bundle, as you'll see it on our website. Now, I'm going to make, just before I get started, I am going to make an assumption that you have a basic knowledge of what you're seeing in a footprint chart and a footprint candle. So this will be less about the inner workings of how a footprint chart works and more about the specifics of our footprint indicator and the auto trader. So I'm making that basic assumption that you have that knowledge. If you don't, there's no shortage of resources online. Just go to YouTube and you'll find dozens of good, just basics, understanding auction theory within a candle, which is basically what all you're doing with a footprint chart. So with that said, okay, now I've got a little overview here because this helps me as much as you, I hope. Because I can get distracted easily by what I see on the chart. So this keeps me focused. So we're going to start here. I am going to start with a bit of an overview discussion based on some things that I think will help you as you're getting started. I want to refer you to the resources here that most likely you've already identified, but just as a reminder, we often get people that will they'll make the purchase or they're doing a trial of the footprint indicator, and they say, hey, could you send me over a manual on this thing? Well, just a reminder here, our webpage is very densely featured. You have 3 very detailed pages here. This is the online manual. This is a manual. Yeah, I mean, there's very little here that I can think of that is not covered here within these 3 pages. Now, rather than me, scroll through all of it here, that'll make you dizzy. I would encourage you to use this as a resource here, but you might have to, do your own scrolling and dig a little bit here. Of course, here are all the videos on the delta signals right up front here. But then as we scroll down here, I'm trying not to go too fast here. Lots of just little video demonstrations of the differences between how I can set things up, right? This one, right, is quite effective here. Now we're going to do a little bit of that as we go further into this video series. But consider this as your online manual. There's nothing here that you can't find, but you might have to dig for it. I mean, use the search function on your browser if that helps you a little bit. But again, this is a very full-featured resource. The other thing that I would encourage you to continue to use as a resource, where obviously you found it, which is our YouTube channel. Right? We've got lots of videos on this, several webinars that we've done on how to work with these two. But this is for those that are maybe coming to this with a basic knowledge. Maybe they've looked at another footprint chart and didn't like it. For whatever reason that you're here, this will be about our specific footprint indicator and footprint auto trader. Okay, so with all of that said, let me get that out of here and back to our little outline here. So I'm trying to keep these as short as I can. There's so much to it. It's very hard to do these in little bite-sized videos here, but I'll try and be conscious of the amount of time. So we're gonna start here. Again, I've already discussed some of this here. I'm going to just give you a little bit of an overview here to help you get off to a good start. And then we'll go into choosing your presets, the bar markers, signals, what you want to choose in your summary table. I would say there's no right answer to any of these. Right? It's just all personal preferences to what you'd like. And then we'll go into some of the order flow trigger events that will be available to you. You'll see them on a footprint chart, but then when we get into the auto trader, all of these can be pre-programmed, so you can just fire them at your will. Okay, we'll get into that later. So that's the progression we're going to make here. So let me come over here. Now I've got the MNQ on a 1-minute chart. Now I'm going to use the MNQ for most of this. Mainly because that's where people are trading, right? That I don't know if you may not know that, but that is the #1 highest volume traded futures contract of any futures contract, right? The MNQ is where people want to trade, understandably, right? It moves, it's fast. You do have a micro to trade, right? The micro MNQ trades more than the large ES. I don't know if you knew that, but this is where people want to trade. I don't know that it's the most technical, but certainly it is technical, and we're gonna stay focused here because this is where people are trading. All right, so this is a 1 minute here. I record these usually on the weekends here. I'm recording on February the 15th. A pretty volatile week. There were a couple of days. The 2 days where Powell was speaking, there was some volatile events. Not the easiest week of trading here, but Thursday and Friday things calmed down a little bit easier to read. The 2 days where Powell was speaking were a bit tricky. So I've just got an RTH template up here. So particularly with a 1 minute, so we're not scrolling through the overnight here. But you'll also note here, I have the footprint indicator applied to this chart. And I do it this way for a couple of reasons. One, you see that red bar up on top. We've had a number of people say, hey, I applied it to my chart here. I don't see the footprint. I don't see the summary. Well, that's a little warning just to remind you that if you find yourself in that situation, you just have to open it up, right, and they'll show up. But I also want to show you here that you don't hesitate to scrunch it up this much if you want to get some context. So let me open this so you can see what I mean, right? So just widening here, they'll start to show up. The summary table will come, and then you'll start to see. Now, what I have loaded here, this is the default. So if you were doing a trial or you had just made the investment in it and you just loaded it, the first thing that's going to pop up is the default settings. It's not what I use, but it's certainly not a bad way to start in terms of what you're looking at here. I think the only thing we are highlighting here are stacked imbalances, and then we have value areas are highlighted here in the bid ask. You'll note I do have a 21 EMA, which I keep on all of my footprint charts. Right? It's kind of a reference marker. And I'm assuming you understand this here, that there's a trade-off we make in getting the details within a candle. I'm going to lose some context because I can't see as much, right? I can't see as many candles. And in this general discussion section of this video here, I'm going to start there because that, I think, is one of the biggest mistakes that new traders that are new to working with a footprint chart will make. It's over trading because you'll think you're seeing something in every bar, and in many respects, often you are. But is it a tradable event? Is it? Well, let me back up. I think the way to consider this is to try and limit your number of trades that you might make. Well, I would propose that this would be the case whether you're using a footprint or not. But I would suggest to you try and keep it to no more than 3 to 5 trades at the most per day. That will keep you focused on the highest probability events. Now, of course, during the trading day, do you know the high probability events? Well, certainly there will be levels that would be more significant than others, right? So I think we probably agree on that. But I'm back to I know this was an issue for me when let's see, I'm getting into the overnight here. When I first started, you think you're seeing something all the time, right? So remember, the majority of the time the market is just in rotation, right? It's when we move substantially one direction or the other that perhaps, either at the beginning or the end of it, we have opportunity. And just in terms of trying to reduce the number of days that or the number of trades you're taking per day, if you stay focused on the first 90 minutes, so RTH open to Europe's close, would give you plenty of opportunity on the day if you wanted to come back for the last hour or maybe even the last 90 minutes. Just a suggestion, to try and keep the trades down. If you're trying to trade in the middle of the day, it's usually just rotation. You're just going to get eaten alive by the algos there. So I would encourage you to stay away from that. Just a friendly suggestion. I'm not telling you how to trade. Just been doing this for a long time. So I would encourage you to keep those windows of trade opportunities somewhat limited, because it's very easy to get sucked into thinking you're seeing something when there's really nothing but rotation going on. That was an adjustment I had to make when I first started working with footprint candles. Again, there's like, oh my God, look at this, and now we're adding bar markers here. Oh, I've got delta divergence. I've got the POCs in the wick. I've got imbalances here. Oh my God, it must be a short. Well, maybe yes, maybe no. If you're staying focused to really the best trading opportunities you can identify throughout the course of the day, and much of that is going to be based on your preparation going into the day. Most people, I don't know what the number is, but I would propose the vast majority of retail traders are now working with prop accounts. So it's tricky. Right? It's because it's a prop account. It's very easy to just go, let's see what happens, because it's not digging into your pocket, but over time, right, with reset after reset after reset, it's going to dig into your pocket. So if you start with that premise that I'm going to hold myself to no more than 5 trades a day, it'll keep you laser focused on, okay, where's the best opportunity? Now, if I'm just looking at this chart, do I know where the best opportunity is? Probably not, right? So do we have anything really happening here other than just rotation, a little up, a little down? Now, again, 21 EMA is a good kind of a reversion to the mean. The market will almost always come back to it. If it gets a little too far from it, right, that can be just something to be looking for, because it'll likely come back to it. So that's the advantage of having it on here. Again, I'm not Not saying you should, just something to consider. Again, I'm working with the RTH only here. Let me get back to this. And I would, again, just in trying to wrap up this section, let me bring this over here. Bring this down. So this is from just an earlier part in the video series. I would strongly encourage that at the minimum you have just a traditional candlestick chart next to your footprint chart. So the times that you're going to the footprint chart are based on what you're seeing over here, rather than vice versa, right? Because over here, of course, I'm sacrificing the context that I can get over here because I can see more of what's happened over here. I'm very limited. So even if you're just working on a laptop, which my partner is one of the best traders I know, he works on a laptop. So he typically will have three charts on the screen, and his footprint chart over here is perfectly adequate. I have 6 monitors in front of me, so I can put them all over the place. But the point being, your decision-making criteria as to when you go to the footprint chart should be based on what you're seeing on your more traditional TA. So if it's here or here, right, again, always easy in hindsight. If you're looking here, do I want to be taking that trade? Well, that's when I want to go to the footprint chart to help me with the execution. And am I seeing some order flow events that might contribute to what I've recognized as a potential support area? Do I want to take that trade, right? Does this give me additional insight, which is the only reason you're using the footprint chart, right? I can see within that candle, is there an order flow event here? Can I see trap traders? Can I see am I seeing POCs climbing? Am I seeing value areas climbing? Am I seeing an imbalance, maybe an inverse imbalance at the low? Some of the things that we'll talk about. Am I seeing a big surge in positive delta here that suggests to me the aggressive traders are hitting the ask? So those are all the kind of things that this can give to you. But again, just word to the wise, if I can pass this along to you, all of the preparation for when you go to the footprint chart is based on what you're seeing on your traditional candlestick chart. It's my suggestion, right? Do as you will, but I think that will help you. And then when you're over here, you're trying to pinpoint whether it's an exit or an entry based on that additional information that I see in the footprint chart. Okay, with that said, I'm going to, I guess we've been over that enough times. I'm going to wrap this up here in this section here. I'm at 12. I'm trying to keep these to 15 minutes if I can. I know sometimes I can go much longer than that, but this we'll be going back and forth between the two. I know there's a lot on here. You may or may not recognize some of these. These are all our tools, but our focus is going to be over here. But again, I just want to be sure that you're not just trying to trade the full day over here. I think that will lead to trouble, right? You've got to have the larger reference, right? And that will be your prep. So you've identified areas of interest. And when we arrive at those areas of interest, then we go to the footprint chart and see if we can get an edge there. Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap up this first one here, and I'll meet you on the second one.